This is the golden opportunity for all of us to either diminish our negative karma or delete it altogether. I think that religion is divisive. I've never seen so many religions who can't get along with one another, and they're all Christian or they're all Buddhist, and they're still not getting along. We are lacking that faith, that unshakable faith. And if we don't have that, we have nothing.
I'd like to welcome back to the show returning champion, Connie H. Deutsch. How you doing, Connie?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic, Connie. It is always so exciting having you on the show. You are a 5-timer club member, meaning that you've been on the show 5 times. This is your 5th time being on the show. It's a very exclusive club. Only 2 or 3 other guests have had that honor of being invited back to the show 5 times. That's how much I love you.
Thank you, sweetie boy.
So for everybody listening who has not had the pleasure of listening to Connie's other conversations with me, I'll just give you a real quick rundown of who Connie is and what she means in my life. Connie is my spiritual guide in this living life. I always say that I'm like, oh yeah, my spiritual guide living, because I always have to preface it that I'm not talking to my spirit guides. But my spiritual guide while I've been on earth has been, and while she's been on earth, has been Connie. She is the reason why Next Level Soul exists. She's the one that told me I had to do it, stuck a poker in my butt to make sure I got it done proper and got it done in a timely fashion. So she is the reason why you have enjoyed Next Level Soul, all these episodes, which are coming up close to 500 episodes coming up very, very soon. Yeah, we're at like 480s right now, 480s closing in on 490s.
Wow.
So it's been kind of insane over the last 3.5 years, but you knew this because you knew all of this was going to happen because you are a psychic. You are a psychic and a channel. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit, but you mean so much to me and everybody listening. Again, without Connie guiding me since I was 23. Since I was 23, she was patiently guiding my monkey butt. Let's just call it what it is. My monkey butt through this entire patiently dealing with my ridiculousness since my 20s and 30s and 40s.
I saw the potential in you.
She saw it apparently when I was 23, and boy, she has the patience of a god because of a saint, because she waited years, decades for me to get to a place where and I guess the world to get to a place where a show like this would make sense to come out, and the timing of it and all that. So before we start, of course, Connie, thank you for everything you've done for me and for the show. Without you, there wouldn't exist. So I appreciate you as always.
Thank you. You have been fantastic to work with. I can't even start to tell you how much. Everyone thinks you walk on water.
Well, I do not. Thank God. I do not walk on water, but I do appreciate the sentiment. I really do. Yeah, Connie does a lot of readings for people from Next Level Soul, our tribe. Every time she comes on the show, people inundate her with reading requests. So she talks to me about what they say constantly and tells me all these things. So, but it has been such a pleasure. So I wanted to have you on the show because this year's been a little nutty. I think since basically 2020, things have been, I'd argue 2016, maybe 2012, but really this year has been intense, to say the least. And we are in an election year, not only here in the United States, but over 50% of the countries in the world are having elections for president this year, or their leaders this year. So there seems to be a big, huge shift happening. A lot of people are worried about what's going to happen for the rest of this year. What do you see? And before you answer that question, can you explain to people your channeling technique, which is a little bit different than a lot of other channels that we've had on the show?
They're probably very different.
Very much so.
Okay. When I was asked about channeling, and I was asked, I agreed to it on one condition, that I would look as if I was having a conversation with the client, that I would not go into a trance. I would be awake. I would remember everything. And it would look like a normal conversation. Nobody would know that I was channeling.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, the last interview that we had
Mhm.
was the first time I ever saw myself channeling.
Mhm.
And it was such a shock to me. Like, that's me? That's what I look like?
Yeah, you generally don't hold up a mirror to yourself while you channel.
God, no. No, I wanted to look like I was talking to a person, not anything else.
Mhm.
And I am. You're a person.
Mhm. That's true. Most of the
And
time.
you have been fantastic. Everyone loves you. I never saw so many people do idol worship before.
Oh, stop. Oh, stop it. Please, Connie, stop it.
It's true.
I'm very humbled and I'm very flattered by it. But my job on this earth, my mission on this earth, as you very well know, is to help people find the answers within themselves, to
Yes.
help them connect with the power within themselves, not to follow anything that anyone says. If you hear someone saying, "Follow me, I know the way to God," that's probably a thing you should be careful of. I would always follow what Christ did. Christ said the same thing. The power of heaven is within you. Everything I can do, you can do, and more. That's kind of the way I'm looking at things, moving
Well, I've
just
written
in
articles
general.
about that.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Published.
So you channel. So you don't channel like Edgar Casey did. You don't channel like a trance channel. You're a
Nope.
conscious channel. You're a conscious channel. So you're getting information as sometimes you'll close your eyes just to think or think about something, and the information is just coming to you. And you're just talking like a normal person. So I just want to
Uh-huh.
make sure everybody was clear about that. So
Yes.
again, to my question, where do you see the rest of this year going in this election year and this kind of crazy stuff that's happening around the world?
Now, are you talking about in this country or are you talking about worldwide?
Let's do both. Let's do in the US first, and then after that, let's do the world.
In this country, we're going to have such disruption
Mhm.
around the elections like we have never seen before.
Mhm.
There are going to be very disturbing things that go on.
Mhm.
Trump is going to have his hands full,
Mhm.
to say the very least. Kamala is very self-assured that she's going to win.
Mhm.
So you've got a lot of conflict that we're looking at for the end of this year.
Mhm.
But we will survive.
Mhm.
One way or another, we will survive. For the rest of the world, we have a lot of conflict to look forward to for the rest of the world.
Mhm.
As America goes, so goes the rest of the world. But so whatever is going to happen economically is going to happen worldwide.
Mhm.
Whatever is going to happen on Wall Street, we'll see the same thing in the rest of the world. So these are things that I'm looking at, and I'm saying, okay, worst case scenario. Well, I'm not even going to approach for worst case scenario.
Best case scenario?
The vision extends that far.
What's best case scenario?
Best case scenario is that we'll survive and we will continue from there. I think that we have some good things to look forward to,
Mhm.
to offset the crap that we will be subjected to.
Mhm.
Some of the good things is that people will start to awaken
Mhm.
more than ever before,
Even more than has been in the last few years.
much more, much more. I've always told you that you have a mission of mass communication,
Mhm.
and you have not seen even a tenth of it. You've only seen what I've allowed you to see.
Okay.
But you're going to be a beacon of light to people who have felt that they were in the dark. And that's going to be very encouraging. So I would say that from that point of view, we're going to see some very positive things come out by the end of the year.
Oh, this is all within the next 6 months or so. Oh, wow. So there's going to be is there going to be a catalyst for this awakening? that's happening? Is it going to be something? What's the catalyst? We are in a time of great change, and humanity is awakening more and more every day. Mankind needs insights on what is happening to all of us. That is why I'm inviting you to Wisdom from Beyond, a 6-day virtual summit designed to awaken your soul. Experience over 9 hours of soul-expanding channeling sessions led by 6 of the world's most esteemed channelers. Connect with the divine, receive sacred insights, and transform your journey by asking questions directly to the channelers themselves. This is more than just a summit. It is your gateway to understanding the profound shifts happening within and around all of us. Plus, when you sign up, you receive exclusive bonus content to deepen your spiritual exploration. Join us and step into the extraordinary.
The elections in this country.
Which will ripple around the world.
Very much so. I would
Okay.
think that England and Germany will probably be more of the catalyst than we give them credit for.
Mhm.
I think that England is having an election, or had
Yes.
an election. That's going to be a catalyst as well. I think that countries that have been silent are suddenly going to find their voice.
Hmm.
And we're going to hear from them in ways that we have not heard from them before. I don't know exactly what the catalyst is, but I can tell you that it's going to be earth-shaking for South America.
Mhm.
And it's going to leave a lot of people in this country who have Spanish heritage
Mhm.
shaking because they've never seen it. We've seen a lot of it, but they haven't. So look at places like Costa Rica that has been very silent and not involved in anything.
They're the Switzerland of South America.
They are,
Mhm.
or they were.
Mhm.
That's going to change
Hmm.
drastically. They're not prepared for it because they haven't looked. I don't see an awakening there until they are directly involved.
Mhm.
Then they'll awaken, but it will be a very slow process for them. Venezuela, and that's another thing. They have had more interactions with America than probably any of the other South American countries.
Mhm.
They do a lot of business in this country.
Mhm.
I think that they're more aware of what's going on. They're not militant at this point. I don't know that they even know how to protect themselves if they were.
Mhm.
I don't see it. Now, maybe I'm not seeing the whole picture. That's possible.
Mhm.
But they're going to have an awakening of some nature.
When you say awakening, Connie, can you explain to the audience what that actually means?
It means a search for God. It means the spiritual. It means that they have a consciousness that they didn't have before. So when I see an awakening of people, I see people who have been asleep figuratively.
Mhm.
And now they're going to look up and say, oh my gosh, what does this mean? What does that mean? And all of a sudden they're aware of things that they were never aware of before. And we're on a spiritual level.
Mhm.
And that spiritual level is going to increase all across the globe in ways that you can't even start to envision. So when I tell you that you haven't seen much of the mass communication that you're going to be responsible for, that's what I'm talking about. So be prepared.
Yeah, I know, Connie, I know. So, can I ask you why are we going through this? Why are we going through such kind of difficult hardships? And I say that with a grain of salt because I understand that we're in the best time in human history, essentially. There's actually less wars now than there ever has been in the past. As far as the violence and the other things that have been done in humanity over even 100 years ago was worse than what we have now. So I understand that, but it seems like, at least to people, that we're going through this very chaotic time and getting more chaotic. We're definitely going through a more polarizing time than I've ever seen. And it's around the world. It's not just here in America. It's around the world. So why are we going through this, spiritually speaking?
There's a good reason for that. The reason is that we have taken advantage of what we had and we have abused it.
Mhm.
I take a look at people that I see, and I see a lot of people, and I've never seen so many people who feel entitled to everything.
Mhm.
They are self-indulgent. They are indifferent to other people's problems. I remember growing up, if somebody was sick, we sent over a casserole, we babysat for their children,
Mhm.
we helped them. Now, when you see people who are sick, you don't even look at them. I saw something on my computer. I don't have a television. So I saw something on my computer and it really bothered me. You know how big shopping centers are
Mhm.
and huge numbers of people come and go.
Mhm.
You see them coming and going in both directions. This man was lying on the floor and looked like his leg was broken. And people came and went, and not one person said, "Do you need help?"
Mm.
And I watched this for quite a while. I wanted to see what the story was. No one stopped and asked him if he needed help getting up.
Mm.
And there were probably, within my range of vision, about 100 people, maybe more. There was one little girl, 8 years old, who gave him a $5 bill
Mhm.
and then proceeded on her way. She didn't ask him
Mhm.
whether he needed help,
Mhm.
and he was lying on the floor. So after she left, he got up. He said he was running a test. He wanted to see if anybody would stop and try to help him up. And the answer was no one stopped to ask him if he needed help. But that was his test. Lying on the floor, pretending that he had this broken leg and that he couldn't get up.
Mhm.
Well, that's a sad commentary on human nature that I have never seen in all my life. And I've lived a long, long time.
Mm.
And I have never seen so much indifference to human misery as I'm seeing now.
And is that what this awakening is hopefully is
Yes.
going to be shifting?
Yes, very much so.
Is it an energetic shift as well? A frequency shift?
Very much. Let me talk about that a little bit because I think that that's very important.
Mhm.
We have been living under the lower vibration all of our lives. So their contention is we're here the longest, so we should reign supreme.
Mhm.
The higher vibration, which has been trying to come into the last 3.5 years, says, no, we should reign supreme because we're the most powerful. Well, they are the most powerful. And they've been at war for the last few years. And they will continue to be at war for probably another 5 years.
Mhm.
And what is happening is that people who used to come to me and say, tell me about my husband, my wife, my children, my finances, my career, they're not asking those questions anymore. What they're saying to me is, I feel stuck. For the past several months, I've seen about 1,000 people,
Mhm.
and they're all saying the same thing. They feel stuck. They feel like whatever they try to do, they're failing. Things that they felt so enthusiastic about and loved, all of a sudden their enthusiasm has died and they're not interested in that. They're thinking about changing careers. Meantime, the scientists are trying to make us live to 150 years old.
Mm.
All I can think about, and I've written articles on this, is that first find cures for the diseases that people have when they reach their late 40s, early 50s, before you add another 100 years to our life.
Mhm.
And that hasn't happened. They're just pushing mankind, live longer, live longer, live longer. For what? To lie in hospital beds or in hospice? I think that's the cruelest thing that they could be doing to us.
Mhm.
So when I talk about awakening, this is what I'm talking about. These are things that everyday people need to hear about and to see what is in front of them. Mankind cannot survive if we don't change what we're doing. if we don't start caring about each other and helping each other, mankind is not going to be able to survive. We're killing ourselves. And that should not happen. We have enough people on this earth who could make a difference.
Mm.
I've been giving some homework assignments to clients.
Mm-hmm.
I have them buy a notebook and put on the cover my legacy, because I think that in 200 years from now, people are going to find it. And what this legacy entails is kindness. What have you done that's kindness? They're only allowed to have one sentence each day, and they have to do this for the rest of their lives, so that the consciousness goes with them day by day by day by day.
Mm-hmm.
And each of us, if we do a kindness every day, and we're conscious of that kindness, if I tell somebody your mission is service to mankind, they think automatically that means that I have to do these grand gestures.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not the case at all. Grand gestures are fine. They're appreciated when they happen, but then they disappear and we forget about them. It's the small gestures that live on all of our lives forever. I can tell you about myself. When I was very, very young, I'm usually a very happy person. On this particular day, I was not happy and I was not sad. I was just feeling blah, which does not happen often. And I was walking along and a woman comes over to me and she says, when I hear you walk, it's like listening to a symphony of voices. And I was so excited. I was very young. I didn't know what it meant, but it felt good. Now here it is 76 years later, and I still remember it. That was the kindness that I will never forget. So it's little things like that. Another way is if you were visiting a friend in the hospital and you're walking past the rooms and you see in one room, this patient has greeting cards, flowers, candy. Then you walk past another room and the patient is lying in bed, just waiting to die. There isn't a single card, no telephone calls, no nothing. If you stick your head in the doorway and say, oh, you look lovely today, that person will be so happy to hear that. It will live on in his or her memory forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the homework assignment that I give is they have to put down the current date and write next to it one sentence. And that's all, just one sentence. So if that sentence that day is, I told someone she looked lovely, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
No talking, no communication. Leave a person feeling good about himself or herself. I once gave an assignment to a man who was a doctor and a woman. They didn't know each other. They didn't know of each other, and they lived in two different states. And this happened such a long time ago, I don't even know whether they're still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So and it was an abbreviated form of what I was just doing now. But I said to the man, what kind of, I said to them that I wanted them to do something nice for someone.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I said.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to the man, what was the nice thing that you did this week? And I thought, he's a doctor. He did something nice for one of his patients. No, he said, I helped a woman cross the street. Okay. All right. Then I said to the woman, a week later, what did you do that was nice? She said, I did not stick my foot out to trip the woman who was walking by me. And she meant it sincerely.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But these are the things that if we're looking at mankind,
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at something that needs correction. I ran across that sentence in one of Yogananda's books, not Autobiography of a Yogi, a different book. And it was the same sentence that I used without knowing it, but I used it when I was giving this homework assignment to my clients.
Okay.
So I think you're going to see the awakening in ways that you haven't seen before. And it's been coming on for a while, and we've gotten worse instead of better. And we
Connie,
need to be caring.
yes, we definitely need to be more caring and be kinder to each other without question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, why do you think that we who are listening to this right now have chosen to incarnate at this time in human history? Seems like a rough ride.
We have all agreed to incarnate in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us on the East Coast are all from Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
Those on the West side are all from Lemuria.
Mm-hmm.
We have different things that we're working through.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one really positive thing is that this is the golden opportunity for all of us to either diminish our negative karma or delete it altogether. And I have watched it happen. So I know it exists. I've seen it in action. And people, as they're awakening, they are going to concentrate on those things. And that will mean a world of difference in everything that we do and think and say. Does that make sense to you?
It makes perfect sense to me. Now, one of the questions I get, Connie, a lot is, how do we connect to our higher self? How do we connect to our spirit guides? How do we connect to the higher version of ourselves that's watching, the watcher of all of this? How can we connect to them to help us better guide or get guidance through this life, which can be challenging?
I know that a lot of people do the angels and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, do the angels.
they do the angels and they do the spirit guides and things like that. I don't.
Okay, what do you do?
Well, first of all, I've always had this channel.
Fair enough. Not everyone does. So for those who are looking for guidance within themselves, how do they find it? How can they connect to it better?
Meditate.
Mm.
Meditate a minimum of 3 hours a day, every single day.
Connie. Now, you know as well as I do, not everyone has the ability and time to meditate for 3 hours every day. So what can the normal folk who's just starting out?
Well, I'm telling you.
Okay. No attitude from you, young lady. I will not take it.
Why not?
Go ahead.
Everything revolves around one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation. You want to reach your higher self? Meditate. 15 minutes is not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
A half hour is not going to do it.
But it's a start.
Honey, it's been starting for years and years, especially since the Maharishi came here all those years ago. I was on the Merv Griffin show, and I had the most unusual thing happen.
I understand.
I don't think so.
You've told the story in the other interviews in regards to what happened to you when you felt and happened in the room and you had the smell of something, if I'm not mistaken, of roses.
Roses, yes.
Yeah. You told that story in the other interview. But let me ask you, Connie, though, for people who are literally just starting out, who have not, I can't sit down for 5 minutes, how can they start to gain? Because if you remember, I, as masterful of a meditator as I am now, it took me a while to build up. You were telling me you need to do an hour, you need to do the 2 hours to start. And it took me a while to get to that point. So people, I'm saying this so I don't discourage people from trying. Because if you tell you got your first mountain you got to climb is Everest, most people aren't even going to start. So that's why I'm saying, what can they do right now to kind of build their way up to get to the place where you're looking for them?
What I'm doing now is exactly that. I'm telling them that this has to be the only meditation that they do for right now. Start with 15 minutes a day.
Okay.
Do not do any other meditation, no guided meditation, no nothing. Prayer is when you talk to God. Meditation is when you are so still and so quiet that you can hear God talking to you. It doesn't happen frequently, but when it happens, it is so awesome and so memorable that you never ever forget it. Now, when you reach 15 minutes where you're meditating perfectly, so that if someone says to you, I want you to meditate, go into a deep meditation right now, they'll be able to do that.
Mm.
Then they're ready to go to the next level. And that's 3 minutes that are added on to the 15 minutes. So now you're meditating 18 minutes a day. When you get to the 18 minutes and you're very proficient at it, you can raise it another 3 minutes. And you keep doing this until you hit 1 hour. Now, one of the things that you have to understand is that you're human. And as such, you'll have good days and you'll have bad days. Don't get discouraged by the bad days. Good days will follow. Just keep trying. And I say, try. And then if your mind is too active, get up for an hour or two, do something else, take your mind off meditation, and then go back and meditate again. And once more, your mind is still active, get up, do something different, and then go back. If it happens one more time, get up and say, tomorrow is another day. And that's the end of your meditation that day. And you keep doing this every time you reach a plateau between now and 1 hour. Every time you reach a plateau, you're allowed to add another 3 minutes, no more than that. And somehow or other, it's like magic.
Mm-hmm.
And people start to meditate. People who told me that they could never meditate before are telling me now that for the first time in their lives, they are meditating. Some of them have even gotten up to an hour.
It's amazing.
So this meditation was given to me very recently to stop it from happening, just the way I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
And people are saying it's like magic.
Mm-hmm.
They've never been able to meditate. And now all of a sudden, here they are. You're at an hour. So now I say, okay, now you have to eventually go to at least 3 hours a day consecutively.
Mm-hmm.
Not 15 minutes here and a half hour there,
Mm-hmm.
but a full 3 hours. And when you can do that for at least a few months, at that point, you are ready to make up your mind whether or not you want to be trained to the higher vibration. Until that point, you really can't. And the reason is because to do the things that you can do on the higher vibration, you need to have tremendous focus.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have focus, you can't create miracles. If you don't have focus, you can't do any of the things that we're trained. My training comes from Atlantis and ancient Egypt.
Mm-hmm. Connie, can you talk to me about how opening yourself up or raising your vibration or your frequency higher by doing these meditations and by just being kinder and evolving in this awakening, how those things will start to open doors for you that you never thought were open to you before? Like, things that sound crazy now, in a year or two don't. This show sounded absolutely insane to me when you brought it to my attention. And you said one day this will be bigger than all of your other shows and it will dwarf them. And I'm like, you're insane. But I'll do it because you told me to. And that's basically why I did it. But looking at from where I was to where I am now, I would have never conceived the opportunities, the doors, the things that are happening for me. And it has to do with the work I've been doing and lifting my own frequency, lifting my own vibration, helping others to do so. And that all feeds into it. How can people do that themselves and explain to them what happens when they start to lift their own frequency?
They can only lift their own frequency with vibration, with meditation.
Mm.
It doesn't just happen.
Right.
They have to work at it. So if they're working at it, doors will open them. But above all, they have to have faith that God will provide. Faith and doubt cannot coexist. They simply cannot. If you have the faith, well, let me tell you a story about that. My first day of meditation, I went out of the room, and I usually don't listen in on people's conversations. I don't eavesdrop. Because first of all, most of them are boring and I get bored very easily.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. But more important is that conversation between two people are private. They're discussing personal things. And it's like invading their privacy. So I don't do that. But on this particular day, I had just finished a meditation class. It was my first day. And these two women were talking and it sounded very interesting. So I stopped and I listened. And one is saying to the other, you take one end of the rubber band and you pull on it. God takes the other end of the rubber band and he pulls on it. And then you take your end of the rubber band and you pull on it. And God takes his end and pulls on it. Then you take your end and pull on it. And God says, you know, he seems to want to handle all his problems himself. So he drops his end of the rubber band. And now you're stuck having to solve your own problems. Well, I went home and I said, okay, God, I'm going to give this a try. And here's what the problem is. I have no marketable skills and I have $700 in bills that I can't pay. They're all due on the same day. And I don't know how to generate any kind of an income. Nobody wants to hire me. And I don't know how to go from here. I have done everything in my power to generate the money. And I just have nothing. I need your help. Please provide. And then I walked away. And every day from that day to the day that the bills were due to be paid, I would walk by the table, look at it, and say, God will provide. God will provide. God will provide. And then I would go and do my other stuff. The day that they were due, the doorbell rang. And it was the postman. And in all the years I was living there, nobody ever rang the doorbell to give me my mail, ever.
Mm-hmm.
This day, the postman hands me my mail and says, here's your mail. And I thanked him, and he went off. And I see this thin envelope on top of this pile of bills.
Mm-hmm.
So I opened that, and out pops a check for $700.25. From that moment on, my faith in God was unshakable and is to this day. I have never doubted for a single moment that God will provide. If I had doubted, I'd start back with the rubber band, but I don't. I know that no matter what happens, God will provide. So you're talking about what's going to happen at the end of this year, here and globally. It's the same thing. Your faith has to be absolute, and God will provide. Now, not too long ago, probably about a few weeks ago, I had 2 appointments that was scheduled for the same time. I don't know how that happened, but 2 of them at the same time. And I didn't know what to do. And I said, okay, God, here's the situation. I need your help. Please provide. I can't do 2 at the same moment. And a few minutes later, the telephone rings, and it's one of my appointments. And she says to me, Connie, can I reschedule my appointment? Something came up. Could I have an appointment for tomorrow instead of today?
I see what you're saying.
Said, sure. So she had her 3 hours of meditation on both days. Is going to give you all of these things that you're looking for.
Oh, I agree with you 100% because when I finally took this show seriously, it was a leap of faith that I wouldn't lose everything else I'd built for. I literally took a leap of faith, and it's paid off, to say the least. So I also have that kind of story. Connie, let me ask you, how do you see humanity evolving spiritually over the next decade?
That's going to depend on what they do with kindness, with helping people, with being more sympathetic to people who can't do for themselves or who are stuck and don't know which way to turn. pay attention to people who have problems. Not everyone has a carefree life. Not everyone is 21 years old.
Hmm.
So you get people who have major problems that they can't solve. And if you walk away without batting an eyelash and you don't care that they have major problems, you're holding yourself back from reaching inside of yourself for that higher self. It's the caring, the kindness that will propel you in that direction. But the meditation is what pushes you. It's more than just a catalyst. It is a feeling that there is nothing better than the God within, which is your higher self.
Connie, I have to ask you, why or how are we going to be able to overcome? You're saying be kind and be kinder to others, and that there should be a giant shift into kindness and empathy and things like that around the world. But there seems to be so many entities and companies and governments and people and religions that are invested so heavily into control, into profiting off of others' pain. It is everywhere. It seems to be getting worse. How can we as individuals overcome these giant institutions that are, the systems are literally designed to screw over the individual? I mean, from our educational system that we have here in the States, our medical system, political systems, religious systems, economic systems for sure. All of these systems are really, in many ways, designed to keep us in place and continue to do what you're doing. Like you said, why are you holding us, keeping us alive for 150 years so we could be in your hospital beds so they can keep making money off of us? So I'm curious, how do we overcome that?
Meditation is definitely part of this,
Mm-hmm.
and absolute faith that God will provide is the other part of it. That awakening has to come. We can't do it by ourselves. We've tried, and we can't do it by ourselves. We need that. And it's not religious.
Mm-hmm.
I think that religion is divisive. I've never seen so many religions who can't get along with one another, and they're all Christian or they're all Buddhist, and they're still not getting along.
Sure.
So I think that there has to be an awakening in our consciousness to make it happen. And the only way that so far that I have seen is that we're not going to do this by ourselves. We're going to have to do it with God. Because if we don't, it's not going to happen. We don't have enough power within ourselves to make it happen without that higher self.
Mm.
It's not beyond our reach. I just want you to understand that much, that it's within our reach, but we have to reach for it. We have to do whatever we can to make it happen. And we can do it, but we have to have that desire, and we have to have that commitment, and we have to have that focus, determination, perseverance. Then you will see a shift. Right now, what we're facing is a lot of people who couldn't care less about anyone else but themselves. And I don't care which country you're in or which political beliefs you have. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. You can't do it by yourself. I can't do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
All of us have to band together as one, because we are just one.
Can you tell me, is there going to be any event in this coming year or decade that is going to be a major catalyst for this change besides the elections?
There are going to be some deaths that we didn't count on, that we will feel very intensely, and a feeling of helplessness, that we couldn't prevent it. It won't be a lot, but they will be significant in our consciousness. That in itself will cause people to say, what are we doing wrong? What's the next step? If we stay at this level, nothing is going to change. We have to stay at a higher level, or it's not going to happen. Only then will mankind say, it's time for a change, and really mean it and do something about it. Otherwise, it won't happen.
Does the channel have any message that it wants to say to everyone listening to this episode?
Lots of things. I've been listening to the channel all my life. And yeah, it has lots of things. One of the things is that we are lacking that faith, that unshakable faith. And if we don't have that, we have nothing. We need to have faith in a power that's higher than ourselves. We can only do so much. We can have the most wonderful focus in the world, but without the faith to give it that push, it's not going to happen. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
It does.
So when you're asking about what can we do, we can look more deeply at what we are doing. If people don't know about their higher selves, technically, they can at least feel it. And if they feel it, they can act on it. It's the people who don't want to feel anything, who don't know to act on it. And those are the people we need to reach. Your mission has always been mass communication.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be explaining to a lot of people who don't know how to reach inside of themselves to get to where you're going or going to need your help. And you can't do it by yourself. You have to have the faith that accompanies it. And when you do that, you'll be bringing in huge numbers of people with you. But that's what it's going to take.
Okay.
That awareness has to be prominent. It can't be something, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that next month. I'll have more time next month. It can't be that. It has to be right now. What is your next step? What is your next project? What is your next awakening?
And what else does the channel have to say?
That we are going to be going through some terrible times in the near future because we are not awake, because we are not, but we have a lot of lessons to learn, is what the channel is saying.
Mm-hmm.
And until we learn those lessons, things like a blackout that's going to affect computers and everything like electronic, and it can be for days or weeks or months or years, whatever it takes. That can be one of the ways that it happens. There are many ways that it can come about, but we're here to learn lessons.
Hmm.
That's what my channel keeps telling me.
Now, Connie, I'm going to ask you a few questions I ask all of my guests. What is your definition of living a fulfilled life?
This may sound crazy to you, but then again, you've always thought I was crazy.
Fair enough.
Okay, Brat.
Stop it. Stop it.
Oh, poor baby.
Oh, we'll just stop it. Continue. We're in a show here, Connie. For God's sakes, we're on a show. Answer the question.
What I have always felt, first of all, this has been a horrendous year for me,
Mm-hmm.
of terrible things, traumatic things that have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
However, strange as it may seem, this is the happiest I have ever been in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And I look around and I think I am so lucky. I mean, I have nothing and I'm so lucky. And I don't know how to explain it other than the fact that I have all this faith in God.
So my next question is, if you had a chance to go back in time and speak to little Connie, what advice would you give her?
Get rid of the people who are toxic.
Sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. How do you define God or source?
I don't know that I could. I don't know that anyone could.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. What is love?
You know, there are so many different concepts of what love is.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the person. It can be somebody who is head over heels in love with someone else and all of a sudden finds himself or herself betrayed. And all of a sudden that love just crushes.
Mm-hmm.
It can be someone who's been looking for love in all the wrong places, as the Carpenters song. It can be, there's a higher dimension of love that I would address first.
Mm-hmm.
Because love is different for different people. For me, don't ever ask me to give up any of my principles. I won't do that. I don't care what else is at stake. But my principles are lifelong. They're what I stand for. Now, to me, that is love because I love what I stand for,
And what is the ultimate purpose of life?
to become one with God.
And where can people find out more about you and the amazing work that you're doing in the world?
Gosh,
Or shall I give the URL because I know it?
go ahead.
If you want to if you want to read more about Connie, you want to pick up some of her books or watch some of our former interviews together, just head over to nextlevelsoul.com/Connie, and it takes you directly to her page. There you can book a 1 or 2 hour session with Connie. She does, if history serves me correct, anytime we do these episodes, she tends to fill up fast. So pretty fast after these. So go in there, but she does have a lot of spots open, but it does fill up quickly. But that's where you go, nextlevelsoul.com/Connie. And Connie, do you have any parting messages for the audience?
Yes. I used to feel passionate about everything. My mom used to call me the maverick of lost causes. And to some extent, I still am, except that now I say, okay, pick the ones that are the most important. What causes do you still feel passionate about? Well, the things that I feel passionate about are my principles, because without them, I wouldn't have a direction. I wouldn't know where to go, what to do. My principles involve honesty, integrity, loyalty. These are things that I can't envision myself being without. So these are the things that rock my boat.
Mm-hmm.
They mean the world to me. I used to think I had so many passions, so many causes that I espoused. And as I got older and older and older and older, those causes seemed to diminish. And I thought to myself, why are they diminishing so much? Am I being less of a person? Am I doing something wrong? Why am I not passionate about all the 50 million things that I used to endorse, that I used to fight tooth and nail for? Every injustice that I saw. All of those things. Why am I not doing that? I still have the ones that I do feel passionate about, but they're few and far between as compared to what I used to have. And then one day I said, okay, write an article about it. Maybe you'll think more clearly when you write. So I sat down and wrote. And what I came up with was that this is more of who I am rather than less, because now I will only embrace the causes that are important, that are really, really important, the things that are worth dying on the hill for. So now when something comes up, I say, okay, Connie, is this worth dying on the hill for? And chances are most of them are not.
Right.
Principles, on the other hand, are.
Fair enough.
But it seems like nothing else is. Mankind is one of these things that is worth dying on the hill for.
Mm-hmm.
Surviving it, making sure that other people have the same opportunities that I have. What they do with their opportunities is up to them. But having them, that's worth dying on the hill for.
Connie, I appreciate you in ways that I can never express verbally to you, for being in my life, obviously for being on the show, and for the wisdom and the magic that you give to everyone who listens to you. But thank you again so much for everything you're doing to awaken the planet, and for your help bringing this show and this mission to the world. I will forever be grateful to you, in multiple lifetimes, be grateful to you for that. So I appreciate you, my dear. Thank you so, so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I love being here with you. I never thought I would be saying this. I always stayed away from public anything.
Well, you've broken that model a few times now, so I appreciate you doing that. I think the audience does too. So thank you again, my dear.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and don't forget to subscribe.